Welcome to Tapped In. My name is David Figueroa-Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be tackling when you're injured and can't train. If you've been in this sport more than probably a few months, you're going to have some kind of an injury. Sometimes it's very minimal. It just, you can train around it. We can spend some time, maybe a week away, and things get back to normal. But there's going to be a moment where you're going to find an injury that's probably going to keep you off the mat for more than a week. A couple of weeks, maybe a month, nothing serious. Then there's going to be those moments when you are going to have a legitimately serious injury. I have been fortunate enough, and I'm knocking on wood, that I have not had anything that's kept me off for months on end. I've played a pretty safe game. I don't necessarily put myself in positions where I can have a lot of body weight pushed on top or falling on top of me. I've been fortunate to have great training partners that weren't trying to injure me and understood that I myself was someone who had to go to work the next day or that morning. So I've been really fortunate. I've had some injuries where I had to take some time off a little bit, maybe a week or two, or injuries that limited me from training, but I was able to teach. So I was still part of the program and involved. So I, again, have been very fortunate. But when it happens, you have to keep a couple of things in mind. I think you have to redefine what training is going to look like. If you have an injury that allows you to train and you have to train around it, you have to pick training partners that are going to keep you safe. You have to get training partners that aren't going to make the situation worse, that aren't going to take advantage of you, that aren't going to push you past the limits that you physically have. And they're just going to be mindful of you. Sometimes that training is going to look like drilling. Sometimes that training is going to look more, maybe a little bit of sparring, but it's light. It's conversational. It's a little bit of back and forth. Nothing heavy, nothing that's going to really push you. I've had my litany of, I've injured both hips on different times. I could not train through either one. I was able to fortunately teach, but I couldn't train. I've had thumb injuries on my right that I've had to tape up and then train around. I've had ankle injuries where one time I was being scissor swept and I planted my foot. The rest of the body kept going, but my foot was planted on the ground and I heard a loud pop. I have thankfully not had any knee injuries. I had a minor neck injury that worried me a little bit. For those things that I was super cautious of, I didn't train, or maybe I drilled. For those things that were a little bit more serious or less serious, I should say, I taped or braced or worked around. There were times when, like with my ankle injury, I knew that I couldn't pass the guard. I couldn't put a whole lot of flexing weight and shift and base, and I couldn't do any of that. So I played a lot of guard. And sometimes that's what you'll choose to do. Again, these things are your choice on how you want to handle them. Some people will argue you should not train at all. Again, we're all adults. You make the decision for you. I think that if I had certain injuries that I didn't train at all with, I don't know if I'd be where I was. I think that sometimes when you have these ailments that aren't serious, but they're enough that they force you a little to alter your training, they develop other skill sets that you didn't know you had to develop because now you have to because something's not working right. For me, when I had to work on guard a bit more because I couldn't plant, I couldn't pass, so I played off my back almost exclusively. And it forced me to build some better habits on how I decided to play guard. So there's a benefit in that. But you really have to redefine the training that you're doing. You're going to limit some of your rolling. Oftentimes, you may not roll at all. If you're fortunate enough to drill, then drill. If you can't do either, I think this is a moment where you redefine it almost off the mat, that stuff that we should be doing that we don't do very much of. Studying, journaling, visualization, learning how to listen to your body, learning maybe even how to teach. And I know this is a weird one in a way, but I've had moments where I couldn't necessarily train the way I'd want. So one of the things I focused on was how did my coach teach? How did the coaches that I really like teach. How did they handle certain situations? How did they game plan? How did they organize a class? And sometimes when you're in the class, you kind of miss that because you're being a student. When you're on the sideline or watching at least partially from the sidelines, you get to pick up on certain things that you normally wouldn't do. Another thing that you get to do is I've had students who have been injured and they've come in to watch the class. You don't get to watch from the sidelines, specifically the rolling, because you're almost always rolling yourself. So when you're on the sideline, you get to actually see how all the different pairs roll. You get to see how the instructor's rolling with certain people. You get to see how your rivals are rolling with each other. Things that, again, you don't get to see at all because you yourself are rolling and you're more, you're focused on what you're doing. That time actually benefits quite a bit. You get to see how they respond to bad situations that maybe you never get to see because they're so much better than you. That's a massive benefit for me. It was one of the things that I like doing. And it's one of the things that I recommend for people to do when they're injured. Come in, suit up if you can. If you can't, sit on the sidelines, just watch. Watch how the teacher conducts themselves when you're not actually in the class. Watch how everyone's rolling. Watch how they interact. This also gives you an opportunity to kind of study certain people's games. And you get to see, okay, so he usually does this when this happens. And then against higher belts, he's playing maybe a different game than what he plays with me because he gets to relax a little bit. You get to see how the higher belts handle your rivals because you may not have answers. You might just be floundering and guessing and throwing things against the wall. And when you watch a higher belt kind of dismantle that person that you think is so much better than you, you get to see, oh, what works? Why are they doing the techniques that way? What techniques are they employing? It's a massive benefit just to watch. I recommend coming in regardless of whether you're injured, as long as you can make it in safely, of course. If you're laid up and just had surgery, by all means, stay home. But if you can come in, like you tweaked your knee or you tweaked your back a little bit, you can come in and you can watch. It's benefit. You get to watch, ask questions that maybe wouldn't have come to you if you were in the class. You get to, in some cases, journal, write down notes while the teacher's teaching the class, which again, you wouldn't be able to do necessarily if you were in because you're so focused on memorizing or remembering the techniques. I think something that also benefits, and it benefits the gym quite a bit. So if you can do it, I recommend it. Go and take pictures for the gym. And I know that sounds boring, like it's not what you want to do. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. But taking video and pictures is something that we don't necessarily get the opportunity to do because we are so involved in actually teaching the class and sparring and training and drilling that one, it's not always something that we think about. And two, you don't really have the resources to do. You don't have someone that would mind or be dedicated to doing that. Unless the gym has a little bit of money and they hire someone to. So sometimes it's difficult to get that footage or those pictures of in-class moments. And if you are willing and you want to come in and be a part of that climate and be around your friends and family and train with them, maybe you can't physically train, but you can help them train by, hey, let me take this video of you sparring. Hey, maybe you want this just for that specific student, that teammate of yours. Hey, coach, do you mind if I record your videos and send them to you? Maybe you can use them for social media or some website or whatever it might be. All that is beneficial. Don't feel like just because you're not being able to train that you're not a benefit to the gym. Just come in. If you don't want to do any of those things, just come in, laugh, have fun with everyone, joke, check in on people, let them check in on you. Like, that's huge. Like, the first thing that happens when you get injured is you worry about the distance that happens between you and your mat friends. And it's a little bit of an over concern because once you come back, everyone missed you. But it's sometimes in some ways it's a legitimate concern because out of sight, out of mind. And you worry that maybe you're not going to come back or some other life event happens while you're injured that doesn't allow you to come back. Like, you never know when you're going to lose your job. You never know, like, all these things happen. So, but if you can come in, be an asset to the gym and being an asset also helps you feel like you're producing. One of the things that I think students worry about so much is when they get injured is that they're not going to be able to be of a resource or a valued member of the team. It's because some of us have competitions that we're getting ready for or whatever. And when you're helping someone get better or you're helping someone get better to that next belt, you feel like you're contributing. And when you're injured and you're at home, it doesn't always feel that way. So come in, help. Just joke around, be lighthearted. Like all that is an asset. One of the things that you can do, and I don't think many of us do this because we have full-time jobs and other responsibilities like family, is picking a position and doing a deep dive study. Watch instructional or breakdowns, or maybe your old roles. See where things can be improved. If you're studying a specific instructional, maybe the time that, hey, every week I go to the gym, I don't know, 6 to 7 Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. I'm going to still assess those times for my jiu-jitsu, and I don't have to worry about commute in or out. I could limit it to an hour, a half hour, and I'm just going to study material, and I'm going to take my time with it. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to review. Maybe I'm going to watch footage of competitions where that technique was being utilized, or by the athlete who utilizes it most. Take some notes. If you can drill, you could always get down, come into the mat, and just drill that specific thing, maybe during open mats or early or late in the class. But your study doesn't stop just because you're injured and you're at home. You could still do some of the things that maybe you don't normally have time for, and it's going to benefit your jiu-jitsu when you get back. One of the things that I noticed when we had the COVID closure, I was really worried that my jiu-jitsu was going to suck. When I got back, I didn't feel like I missed a whole lot. I didn't feel like I forgot much. I didn't feel like I had missed, or like that data had somehow been erased from my memory bank. It was all there. Timing wasn't there. My cardio wasn't as good as it should have been, obviously. But I wasn't in a position where I was like, oh, I forgot how to do this or that, and I got to rebuild. I didn't have to rebuild. We normally don't. And things that we do maybe rebuild is that cardio and the timing. But the stuff is still there. It doesn't get erased. So if you're like, one of the things that I did when I was on that lockdown was that I watched some instructional videos. I watched some old videos. I watched some old rolling footage of myself, seeing where I was doing, what I was not doing. And it kept me in touch with jiu-jitsu that way. I wasn't spending a ton of time on the mat, and there were stretches where I didn't spend any time on the mat. But it gave me something to work towards. Let's see. I think that we should also shift to kind of recovery mode sometimes. I think that we should build a routine where maybe we work on other things. Maybe you need to rehab. Spend some time in the gym, like the actual gym. Start a stretching regimen. Start doing some strength and conditioning if you have the ability to. Rehab the injury that you're with based on the homework that your doctor has given you. Focus on recovery. Start focusing more on nutrition. Sometimes we're really bad at that. Sometimes we're not getting as much sleep because, like me, I teach a 5 a.m. class 3 times a week. Sleep in a little bit. Recover. It's okay to. You don't have to be on that grind. Right now you're injured. So you can allow certain things to come in and focus on the things that maybe you felt you didn't have time for, and build those habits up so that when you come back, they're there. Also, one thing that I think we don't sometimes talk about much is you can also use this time to reconnect and reinvest. You can spend time now with your families that maybe you were stretched thin on. Oftentimes, especially the people that go to class late at night or at night, you go from work to oftentimes the gym, and then you come home and you got to eat dinner, shower, maybe put the kids to bed, depending on what time the class ends. That there's a gap there where on those days that you train, you're not involved in the family. Because you're injured now, you can invest a little bit more time in that. You can help the kids with their homework. You can help your spouse with dinner. You can do the things that you had foregone in exchange for jiu-jitsu, and that your spouse or whoever was kind of filling in on. This is also a good time to reinvest and pick up some hobbies that maybe you had neglected or you felt like you didn't have time for anymore. If you're a reader, now you can read more. You can get into the arts if you're a drawer or you like to paint or build model cars, whatever. Does not matter. You want to do a podcast, you want to do some writing in. This is a great time to kind of invest in those skill sets that you've been neglecting. And it was one of the things that I did when I was on COVID lockdown. I did a lot of time in the other hobbies that I had that I almost pushed it aside, and I had found this like renewed life in those things that then I kept up with afterwards. So you don't have to look at being injured as a complete letdown or a complete negative. Yes, there's times when you got all these things going on and you want to strive for that next belt and everything is halted or delayed. I get it. One of the things, and it's not related, sort of related, I used to get really upset when I would get sick. I don't get sick as often anymore, thank God. And I think part of it is that I don't teach kids anymore. Kids are gross. So I don't teach kids as much, actually, right now, at all. A couple of teens come to class, but I'm not teaching kids. And I used to get sick, and I'd get so mad that I was sick because I couldn't train or I couldn't teach. I couldn't do the thing that I loved. Now I'm teaching, I want to say 16 to 18 classes a month. I have a full-time job. I'm running this jiu-jitsu business, which involves writing, podcasting now, and teaching, and I'm trying to train. So it's a lot sometimes. And as I've gotten older, because I don't get sick as often, every once in a while when I get sick, I'm just like, fuck it. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to go teach. I don't have to train. I don't have to write. I don't have to do anything that I don't necessarily want to do. I'm sick. I get to just be lazy and I get to be a bum. And I know that sounds weird, but I think that sometimes I've taken it to understand that life is telling me, sit your ass down. Sit down, calm down, take a breath. Don't do anything that requires any responsibilities. You got sick time, use it. You never call out, use it. You're never away from teaching and training. You're going to sit down and not do something for 3 to 4 days, maybe a week. And I've sort of gotten to accept that for what it is, and not saying that any of us should be happy that we're injured, but sometimes life just puts the brakes on it for a little bit, reconnect with the things you're supposed to be reconnecting with, take a breath, recalibrate, and then get back to it once you're better. I'm hoping that this helps. If you have any questions, you can hit me up at dfm.2099 on Instagram and Threads. I also have a school community, DFM Coaching, BJJ. I currently have like 25 people in that. We have audio series that are exclusive to that. We have all my recorded workshops go up on that. Again, this is a free program, Q&A, video reviews, technique of the day or Tuesday techniques. Like, we do a lot on there. I'm hoping that people are getting something out of this because it's free, but I really want to give back and help the community. If you have any questions, hit me up. Until next time, thank you so much.